I will now say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now call the May 2nd, 2019 meeting to order. Roll call shows Peter and the Chief of Police are excused tonight. Everyone else is in attendance. Are there any agenda changes? If not, we will move on to number 4, consent agenda. The April 18th, 2019 regular board meeting minutes. B is licenses and permits. 6-month Class B alcohol license. 1 is Hortonville Youth Sports at Otto Miller Athletic Field Concession Stand. Cynthia M. Carter, agent. And the address is 130 John Street. Operator's license. 1 is Megan L. Brick. And temporary Class B retailer's license. 1 is Hortonville Legion Baseball. Rick Ponko is in charge for the May 12, 2019 Commercial Club Park Concession Stand. We also have C, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. Are there any questions? If not, could I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain, I wasn't here at last meeting, for the meeting minutes.
Motion carried. Number 5 is our public hearing for special assessment hearing for Grandview Road. If any of you would like to speak, you're very welcome to. And we would ask that you state your name and address, please.
Can I ask you to speak louder? I'm having a hard time hearing.
Sure.
Thank you. Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, my name is Jack Furrow. I live at 804 Grandview. I just had a question, a couple questions. One, when we pay for this on our taxes, are we gonna have to pay for this all at one time this year? Or is it gonna be spread out for 2 years or 3 years or?
I'd say that's up to the board, right? Likely 4, right?
It becomes a board's decision. However, we're working on, we haven't received our auditor's notes yet back. We're trying to finance it in-house rather than going for a general obligation note.
Okay.
If that's the way we can go, essentially we can structure it any way we want. Generally, it's a 3 to 4 year process if it goes to special assessment. And we would allocate that as well. We're not trying to hurt anybody in this process, so 3 or 4 year period would be sufficient, I would believe.
Okay. And then my other question was, I see, the dollars on here, and I know you guys said that there was a $174,000 grant. I don't see that listed anywhere on here. Or how is that listed with paying for this road?
The assessment, I believe, is based off 20% of the project. That's the way the ordinance is written.
For us to pay?
Correct.
But
Yeah.
I thought there was a grant also that goes towards this road.
It does.
Okay. Yeah, that-
It's just not shown in there because,
Okay,
yeah.
so how much is the road? Is the road 842,000?
Well,
Because the numbers don't add up if you take the 174,000 off of that.
well, the $174,000 is not taken off of it. I mean, you could ask the board if they'd like to do that. What he's getting at is the assessment's based off the total project cost, not what money's coming in, that kind of stuff. If you'd like to do that, you can ask the board. I mean, to take that 172 off the top and then take 20% from there, that's what he's getting at. And that's something the board is well within their rights to do. So,
Okay.
but no, it's not up to me to do that, but the board.
Well, I understand that. I was just curious because I see, the fees on here for the engineering and the legal fees and all that. And then the total cost of, the road was $752. And then you've got Schedule A as 842, I just didn't understand the two costs there, but, and then there was nothing in there listed about the 174,000.
Can you explain the grant again, Carl?
The grant is the local road improvement program grant. It's a discretionary grant we get from the state, which is based off of federal funding. It's $174,000, and they would cut that check to the village once the project's complete. What we do with that check and how we apply it, it just has to be applied towards the project.
Okay.
So necessarily, we wouldn't be paying the full amount of 4,400 because there would be a rebate, or? Because if the money's for the road, you would think that would go towards paying for the road, and, you know, and I mean, I'll pay my fair share, of course, but frankly, I think it should be lower if we're gonna get a $174,000 grant on there.
Is the 174,000 specifically for Grandview Road, or is that,
Yeah, yeah.
okay?
Yeah, that's up to the board. I mean, if I don't set those policies, I just go off the ordinance. Ordinance says 20% of the total project cost for assessments. That's all I do. You'd have to talk to them, not so much me. So.
Okay.
So Carl, how was that 174 deducted? Or was that off that?
It's not deducted at all in here.
Okay.
The 842, can you speak on that number, Al? The 842 that's shown under Schedule B, I believe it was.
Schedule B?
Yeah, that's an erroneous number. It shouldn't be 842. I think that should have been 742.
752, 491.
So the estimate on the high side for the total project is 752. That's with engineering contingencies, which I don't foresee, but you never know digging in the ground what you're gonna run into. I fully expect it to come in less than 7, but I can't guarantee it. So yeah, disregard that 842.
Okay, so it should be 752, and then,
Yeah.
so is the grant gonna be applied to this road project as well? So I wouldn't have to expect to pay $4,426.42 on my taxes to pay for this road?
I believe in the past, we have always done the assessment on the total amount.
But there's a grant, okay, but you gotta take that grant money goes towards this.
Right,
So it would be 600 and, actually it'd be whatever, $575,000 then the road would actually cost, and 20% of that, correct?
Correct.
If
I-
it was taken
I
out.
don't know what the history is there, Bob. Have you guys done that?
Well, that's correct. I mean, as far as your number, right, 578, 491?
And to be honest, they wouldn't make that decision until the fall when we actually do the final resolution. What we're doing now is preliminary.
I would say that, this is a preliminary resolution, and it's,
I'm just,
it's-
I'm
right,
just asking
exactly.
questions.
I
you know,
understand, Jack. But so it, it is typically on the high side. We don't want people to be surprised. At the same time, the methodology as to what the final number is, we're not to that point yet.
Okay.
So your input is
I
very,
guess my
very
biggest
relevant.
thing is, you
Yeah.
send out a legal letter, as what I'm taking this as, and it's not listing that grant on here, which, as far as I'm considered, it should be listed on here as well.
Well, as to that notice, that's not legally required. It's, it's a preliminary notice. So whether you agree with that or not, that's,
Okay.
yeah.
But it will go towards the road, so,
Your point's well taken.
Yeah.
That's to be considered here, yeah.
okay.
So can we remember to bring that up then at the
I'm
time?
sure they'll
in the
remind
final?
you.
Remind us.
I know you will, but I mean, so we can make a point of
Yeah.
discussing that.
Yeah. Or even in the grant, was there any type of, like, it's discretionary, but is there anything in the grant that says we need to take it off the total, or it needs to, where it needs to come off?
No, that would be strictly a board decision.
Okay.
The grant is just for the project, total cost, well, it's applied to the project. I don't believe there are any stipulations saying you gotta take it off any assessments, so,
Okay.
but these people, you know, they're taxpayers.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
plan with the senior head, so, if that's what you wanna do, just do whatever's in your heart, so.
Just let us know when that time comes, so that we,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we will.
I'm sure they will too, but just, yeah.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Chris Gregory, 811 Grandview Road. How did the board come up with who was gonna help pay for the road? Like, one of my questions is Wildwood subdivision. My guess is 75 to 85% of those people are using Grandview Road, just as much as the people on Grandview Road. I'm pretty sure they're not going out the backside of Double M to get to town. So, how did we come up with who was gonna help pay for the road? Is it just people on Grandview Road that
Yeah,
you're
like I
kind of
said,
pinpointing?
you've only got a couple choices for assessments. It's either frontage or area. Area is the direct, what we call the direct beneficiary. In the case out here with so many homes being on one driveway, it's not fair to one resident who has a lot of frontage, and you've got 5 back there that only have 30 feet of frontage together. So we went with the area assessment. As far as the people in Wildwood, or the people, you know, that's just too broad-based. I don't know how you could, I don't know about, when you're assessing, you don't factor in the neighboring town driving through there, that kind of stuff. You have to, you only have a couple options, you know.
Yeah, it's to be the adjacent properties, and, you know, typically, it's done by linear footage, which in this case, when, you know, village officials looked at it, that didn't make sense at all, because, you know, you have some parties that would have numerous parcels on a rather small frontage, and then you'd have some that have quite a bit of frontage, you know, and so what the village officials attempted to do here was that, you know, what they're required to do on an assessment of this is to try and make it as fair and reasonable as possible, and they thought that an area assessment was that way.
My other question is, from an engineering standpoint, are they, from a north and south, is it evenly split if we're widening the road? Am I losing 4 feet? The guy across the street's losing 4 feet, or is that just kinda?
I don't believe anybody's losing anything. We already have the right of way.
Yeah,
Right now, the road's really narrow, but the right of way is actually pretty wide.
okay,
So once there's a little difficulty getting around the bend by Mrs. Hart's house, because the road unnaturally kinked to the south there. But the rest of the road's gonna be dead center, if I'm correct, Al, right?
Yeah, if I could clarify. Yeah, the road is being placed in the center of the right of way at the completion of the project. What we found early in the design part of it is the far west end, coming off Crestview there, the road was hugging that southern right of way. That'll be corrected. It will be put back in the center when it's done.
Does anyone else have questions?
Hello, Angela Seifert. I live at 815 Grandview. And first off, I'd like to say my name is Angela Seifert, not Angela Gay, so did we get that straight? The tax papers come in Angela Gay, it's kind of offensive.
It's registered at the county that way. That's where I took the information from.
It's under the deed, it's under my name.
Okay. You know,
Okay.
we pull it from the county website.
Okay, so. we change
That would have been, to explain that would have been, the information we have is not updated for, you must have did that deed
3
this
years
year, right?
ago.
3 years ago?
3 years ago.
Well, then you should check with the county, because
Okay.
that's where we got
Alright.
from.
Well, it's very dangerous on the road. It's a speed trap, and I never see any officers sitting out there. And now this is just gonna make it worse. So if this is gonna happen, I wanna see better police patrol out there. I have a 2-year-old grandson, and other kids, you can't ride a bike, you can't walk on it. So I think they should up the police force a little bit too. Patrol it. I mean, there's your revenue. Just saying.
I'll take that one, I'll address it. Chris is not here, okay? Probably the biggest thing you can do to address this is call your legislature. Because the majority of the problems that are happening on Grandview, SS, Highway 96, County Trunk M, are strictly because there's not a bypass through Hortonville. People are looking for alternate ways to get off of Highway 15 And every small town, trunk, highway in adjacency in the area has become a speed trap. I attend Ellington, I attend Hortonia, I attend Dale meetings, Greenville, all of these municipalities are looking for police help because people are dodging Highway 15. So the more attention we can put towards the Highway 15 project to get it fixed, all our smaller community roads will come back to the way they used to be. That's the major problem right now. There's so much congestion and traffic on 15 that it's becoming everybody else's problem throughout the rural areas. So I would be proactive if I were you. And you need to keep telling essentially you need to keep telling your legislature, they don't listen to us. We're preaching to the choir. So the more the public puts into it, the better you'd be off on that. So I would recommend calling the county highway commissioner or put an email to, his name's Dean Steingraber. So
Can we entertain lowering the speed limit through there?
you can, that's a tough fight. We're trying to, anytime you lower the speed limit, it's also, it's not just a procedure where you change a sign. It's a major, yes ma'am.
What about those cameras that can catch you and clock you and shoot you in and get the ticket? What easy revenue is that?
Are those even legal in Wisconsin?
I
Yeah.
think she explained one other time where that they have the, it'll flash how fast you're going, but it
Correct.
doesn't register the license. There's not necessarily a camera on it, that's an additional fee for the police department to pay, but, I know that there's issues on our road too, I hear you.
What road are you on?
Double T, Nye Street.
Speaking of issues on the road, Gene Orbis on 820 Grandview. I hope that during the interim, before you start, that you will repair the potholes on Grandview. I hate driving down the middle of the road to avoid the potholes on the side. And just filling them with gravel, as soon as it rains, it's gone. So I would hope that they would repair some of the bigger potholes on Grandview before the actual construction starts. And it's not a big deal.
Yeah, we can do that.
I didn't catch your name.
Gene Orbison.
Jean, pardon?
Are there any other comments or questions?
Mary Lou Murphy, Grandview Road 716. This is probably getting ahead of the thing, but where are we gonna get our mail and how, we all have mailboxes and things? I'm just wondering if there's any plan about,
There is a plan. We have a pre-construction meeting coming up.
okay, so I'm kinda early.
We're probably gonna put it down at the corner of Crestview, right, just off of Grandview. Probably a box. And we'll issue keys, I guess, with that.
Contractor work with the postal service on that.
Yeah. Well, you'll get more information prior to that,
And
but,
our mailboxes that we have now, which is,
did we,
They'll be reinstalled at the completion of the project. I don't know if they'll put them back in kind or quite how they're gonna handle it, but they will be put back.
we have them all taken off for New Year's Eve, so it's kinda like they're all new now. It's a yearly thing.
we haven't overlooked it, it's just that
Okay.
it's not at
I'm
the
just wondering.
top of our list, yeah.
Oh.
But it will get handled, so.
Anyone else?
Hi, Jenny Hens, 736 Grandview. Do you have a start date?
I believe, June 1 or thereabouts, right in that time frame.
Okay, well, we have obviously access to get to.
Yes, there will be access for residents.
All right.
I believe we're gonna try and close it from coming out of town. We can't totally block it off for ambulance reasons, stuff like that, fire. But yeah, you will have continual access. Sometimes it might be a little bumpy, like the gravel and stuff, so it's gonna be a trial for you guys. But it's gonna be worth it when we're all done.
How long do you anticipate it lasting?
Well, we gave the timeline of June 1 through August 31. We wanted to complete it before school started. Whether or not it takes that long, it's yet to be determined. I don't know how. We'll know more during the pre-construction meeting.
How many bids were on it?
How many
How
what?
many bids were taken for this job?
4.
4 on the news.
Now these are one, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7.
Some north of $1 million. They ranged from the lowest to upwards of 1.1 million, I believe is the highest bid retail.
Yeah, 1 million, a little over 1 million.
School, the last day of school is June 7th, and that is in the morning. That's a main line, you know.
Well, they're all for the project, so they're not gonna complain if it's a week, if they have to deal with it for a week.
Well, I know the school probably is, but I mean, I'm just saying that it'll be.
The school buses will be able to get through and pick up our kids.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, the first week isn't gonna be complete total demolition. I mean, there's site work to be done. We're also contending with June 1 is the weekend of the 5K run. So we're keeping that in mind so we don't interrupt their route that goes down Nash Street as well. So you actually get to the first week of June, I believe is June 4th is Monday, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, so it'll be completed. It's gonna be that week you're gonna start seeing signage and relocation of mailboxes, things like that. It'll take some time before that road is actually tore up.
Okay.
And that's all weather dependent as well, you know, so.
Utilities prior to that as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is the construction meeting going to be part of is the public allowed to that too as well?
Yeah, it's during the day. I thought I had it.
14th?
It's Tuesday, May 14th at 9 a.m. here. It's mainly just the contractors, AT&T, We Energies, everybody to get on the same page, so.
Does anyone else have questions?
If someone were to sell their home before that 3 to 4 years is up, does the full cost come along with the owner of that, or does that transfer to a new owner, or is that something that's negotiated at closing, with the sale, or how would that?
I can take that. Ryan? Yeah, it's,
That's either you negotiate that with the buyer that wants to purchase your house, you know, they have to know that there's gonna be a bill for the road on taxes. Either you pay it up front, or that you work out with them, or take it off to your selling price, or whichever, or however you negotiate it.
Ryan, the standard offer to purchase in Wisconsin says that special assessments that are levied before the sale are sellers. But now you can agree to anything, you know, that is negotiable. But that's the normal rule, and that's kind of what people expect. Okay, so, yeah.
Anyone else? If not, we will be closing the public hearing.
I'd like to ask a question. Is there a reason you guys don't use mics? Because it is awfully hard to hear people talking, and I'm sure the people sitting in the back can't hear the low voices. This isn't my first time coming here, and I have a hard time hearing every time.
We can all try to talk louder.
I did request that. I didn't hear it getting louder.
I guess we don't want to shout, but,
Well, if you had a mic, it would take care of that problem.
well, you know.
Just a suggestion.
Yes, and we'll take that into respect. So the public hearing is officially closed. Number 6 is pre-registered citizens to be heard. None. Being that there's none, thank you everyone for coming.
So that grant comes to about 34,000. If you took the 20%, I understand what you're saying. If you take the 20% after the grant, it's only $34,000. That adds to the village.
It makes sense though, to me. I would
Yeah.
have the same.
I mean, I understood that, I understood what he was
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, why not take it on?
We can't?
Well,
Oh,
it's
sorry.
not on the agenda,
No.
so we
Okay.
have to.
It's not on the agenda.
All right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
So,
that's okay.
number 7 is committee reports, and there are none. 8 is unfinished business from previous meetings. There's none. 9 is new business. A is R-6-19, appoint alternate member to the Board of Review. And we are appointing Daniel Najedlo. Are there any questions?
That is in the packet, just so you know.
Yes, it's a resolution.
And you need a motion for this, correct?
Yes, I do,
Okay,
please.
I will make a motion to approve R-6-19, appointing Dan Najedlo to be the alternate member for the Board of Review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Committee appointments. We have a sheet. Did everyone get the sheet with the village commissions and committees? The first one that we will be appointing, do you want me to do these all at once, or do you have questions you feel? I can go through the whole works, or how would you like me to do it?
It can be motioned as presented on this paper and then seconded, if you want to take time to review it.
Okay, so I really don't need to read
You don't
each
need
and
to
every
read each
one?
Correct.
Did everyone have a chance to look at all the committees and commission new appointed? They would be highlighted, and then I see one we did miss highlighting, the Hortonville-Hortonia Fire District Commissions. And the village trustee on that one is James Moeller, and then Jamie Mullock said he would run again for that term, for the next term. So otherwise, everything should be highlighted with the new people, and if anyone has any questions.
Do you have any vacancies you're still looking to fill?
No, I actually have all of the committees and things filled except for the Public Works has a vacant one because we are waiting on that to appoint possibly the new person that will be coming onto the board. And then there's also a vacancy in public facilities. And that will be filled when we know who will be the new trustee.
And public safety.
And public safety.
Yep.
And public safety, yeah. So, other than that,
Blackwater Lake District, did we lose, because I think I was appointed to that before.
For
Right,
your term.
was that on, pardon?
It's for your term.
Okay, I didn't see it on here, so,
Yeah,
or am
it's
I
not.
just missing it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
it's not on here, no.
Okay, I just wondered if that was,
And if anyone doesn't have any questions, could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. C is temporary closing of alley number 1 from North Mill Street to Pine Street, Hortonville Baseball Boosters.
I'll take this one. As you, well, some of you may know, special exceptions for closures and parking requests require village board approval. And in this instance, the village board has always supported this event. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the temporary closing of alley number 1.
What date is that, Carl?
That is,
18th of May.
yeah.
May 18th, it's for the Hortonville Youth Sports Beanbag Tournament.
Just one more date. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carried. D is temporary amendment of premises on the Porky's 2 Inc. Combination Class B fermented malt beverage and liquor license for May 18th, 2019 event.
I know things changed since previous years, then I'll make that
It
motion.
ties in with the
Yeah.
previous agenda item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. E, appoint village trustee to fill remaining one-year term. And I believe we are tabling this for,
Yes.
till the next meeting.
Motion to table.
I will second that.
Until the 7th,
Future meeting.
until future meeting.
I can give an update. All three of the candidates have been contacted. They are scheduled for 6, 6:20, and 6:40. Questions have been, the question I did pen for them has been distributed. I do have one answer back already. I'll wait till I get all three back and I'll forward them to the village board members no later than Monday. So you'll have them at least a day prior to the Tuesday interview session, which is the next committee of the whole will be Tuesday night from 6 till 7 p.m. And that was posted yesterday, correct? Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So we have it, it's already been posted. The committee of the whole meeting has been drawn and posted.
And we already had a motion and a second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. F, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
The only note that I made is in the packet is 07-19 from our last meeting. And that was just to give all of you clarification on the sentence that was added. The police department may give special permission to park beyond the term stated herein. That goes to that. So that was in your packet for your reference as well. So that's all I had.
And moving on to number 10, report of village officials, administrator.
Okay, I did distribute my administrator's report. I talked to Bob Sorensen today, so email come through. Wildwood Park is now the former Wildwood Park. It's been properly deeded back to the village. Carroll Land Surveying is now working on the division of the land for the residents. Carl forwarded that piece of information as well to Carroll Land Surveying today, so the process has started to divide that park up. We should not be maintaining it all this year. Unfortunate news, Blackwater Lake cleanup was scheduled for Saturday. I was called halfway on the way here and they had no attendance, so they canceled the event on Saturday. To help mitigate a major crisis that could possibly develop, we are instituting cross-training of municipal employees. I wanted to bring this to your attention. Jane and I are taking it, Jane will be working with Libby to cross-train in payroll. I will be working with Lisa to cross-train in utility billing. In case there's ever a crisis, we would have a department head that would be knowledgeable enough to keep what I would call the essential functions of government rolling, payroll and billing. So that's going to be a continuing process. We're working with Nathan on that as well. It just makes sense that the more heads that know that process, the better for all parties involved across the hallway. Numerous parking citations, complaints, and near-miss accidents has led to a series of curb painting. So if you are in and about the Blackwater Lake Supper Club area, you will see a whole bunch of yellow paint is now on the curbs. So anything 4 foot off of driveways and any restricted parking areas now has a yellow curb to hopefully notify the patrons of their supper club that you're parking illegally, because it's been nothing but a fight over there in the last month or so since the snow has gone away. If you haven't noticed, MCC has been working on the Brookwood Drive project. The road is actually starting to take shape, so that's been moving along nicely over there. We are also seeing new work starting on the Westwind subdivision. Boring samples have been taken on Shy Lane, or what is to be Shy Lane in the future. I was told by John Davil of Davil Engineering that the DNR has approved maximum extent practical, which would allow Mr. Kinnison to drastically reduce his stormwater costs and get this project back on track. These lots could prove vital to the village. There's 17 lots that would be developed over there. And as you see, we have a lot of construction happening early in the season already. So we're hoping that everything goes well, that we could possibly see these lots built out by mid to late summer here. I spoke with Kerber Rose today, so we are expecting our draft copy of the 2018 financials to be coming in the next week or two. Myself, I shouldn't say myself, more on Nathan. We have a format and a template ready to go for a PAFR, which is the Popular Annual Financial Report. So essentially, the audit itself is called the CAFR, which is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. If you want to take it upon yourself to read it, I wouldn't recommend it. But I would put it into a PAFR report is what we're going to do and make it more of a nice, easy, readable report for all of you to partake upon. So, and it's also distributed to the public if so needed. We'll make copies available. We have a nice format. Been a busy boy. External meetings, as you can see, Carl and I met with, and Jean met with the Highway Department for spring and summer road projects. Attended the Ortonia annual meeting. I ended up having a nice meeting with Governor Evers and Craig Thompson of the DOT. Everybody's well aware of our intentions with the Highway 15 bypass project. I also testified in front of Joint Finance at UWGB. Smaller meetings last week, Fox Cities Economic Development Professionals meeting in Appleton, Imagine Fox Cities in Grand Chute. I spoke on behalf of Porterville at the Greenville Incorporation meeting on Monday. Youth Detention meeting this week also on Tuesday night, and then Fox Chamber West meeting today in Greenville. And that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Any questions for the administrator? Then we will move on to the clerk treasurer.
I actually have. Have you gotten any feedback from Black Otter about the?
They were just notified. Chris could speak to that. She's been in constant conversation with them. The only message that I sent to Chris is I said, hey, listen, we cannot be negative towards our business leaders in the town. They bring people to the village.
Mm-hmm.
We have to work with them. We have to do everything in our power to work with them because they are a driving force. I think they're fed up with it too, because as soon as their customers are coming in the door, they're complaining about the parking situation. They were actually the ones that called the police the last round because they had a resident putting flower pots in the road to try to deter people from parking. So it's getting to that level. It was getting ugly. So we addressed it.
Is there any, I mean, I drive up along that way, you know, I drive up Nye Street and they just parking all along there too. And it's pretty narrow once the parking gets going. I've never gone up by the feed mill. Is there any sort of a parking solution up in that direction?
It's worse.
Take part up that way.
You
It's
take
much worse.
Dewey,
Is it?
Dewey
Okay.
fills all the way to Mill. We've actually removed snow this past winter.
Okay.
It's gotten to a point, and then the snowmobile trail runs through there as well. So at where Dewey and Mill intersect on the corner, where the feed mill is on the corner, it actually gets down to less than one lane.
That curve, that tight curve there.
Tight
from Dewey
curve.
and Mill is
Yeah.
insane.
So we actually had Carl at Public Works go over and remove snow to try to keep it open. It's just, reading their blog, they're serving anywhere between 250 people every night of the week now. Not just weekends, it's every night. So they have a great problem.
Mhm.
It's just that, it's a problem.
Yeah, I see they restructured their parking and they're
Yeah,
doing some.
they've had,
Because they had issues with the railroad and stuff, and they're
Just
being
gonna
somewhat
say,
proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had a lot of vehicles, and then you could tell that because the train is stopped,
Yeah.
that there's a vehicle on the tracks, and
They're hamstrung. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not a lot they can do, so.
yeah, they've had
Okay.
some collisions as well.
Okay, I was just wondering if there's
Yeah.
anything else that we could do
No.
to help alleviate
Chris has
that.
been working with them, I mean, and she's doing all she can too. It was her recommendation that we clarify to anybody parking that this is no-no, and then there are some vehicles that we're working on locating ownership. There's a few that are parked illegally over there, so we serve notice to them as well. Some are on the sidewalks. We're trying to minimize any issue we can, just clean it up.
Okay.
So,
Anything else? If not, we'll move on to the clerk treasurer.
Just that the board review is Tuesday, May 21st from 9 to 11. And it is Peter Oak and Jeannie. And if Peter Oak is unavailable, then it would be Daniel to come, because he's the alternate. That's all I have.
Any questions for the clerk treasurer? If not, then we'll go to the director of public works.
Just a few. David had touched on the Brookwood Drive project. They're over there prepping the sub-base now. We hope to go over there and inspect it on Monday to make sure it passes the muster, what they call proof rolling. That's where they drive a truck across it and see how much it settles in. Both David and me and Chris Schultz, we attended the Hortonville Youth Sports meeting the other night last, was it this week?
Yes.
Yeah, and we're making good progress with rebuilding a relationship with them and moving forward on doing what's best for the kids down at the park. And we had talked about the Grandview pre-construction meeting next week, and on the 14th, here at 9 o'clock. And also we have a small Arbor Day ceremony Saturday here, Hortonville Civic Association. And Public Works will be planting flowers, and Wolf Rafts is going to be planting a tree. So if anybody wants to show up and run the shovel, feel free.
1 p.m. till 2:30.
That's all I have. I'm sure there's more. But.
Any questions for Carl?
So what's going on with the youth sports? They're trying to,
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but
that.
we had some issues last fall with contracts and agreements between with the school and with youth sports for the Ball Diamonds.
Okay.
It's a long story, but we're all on the same page now. So.
Okay.
We can talk more later if you
Yeah,
like, but.
yeah.
And is there anything from Chris from the police
I
department?
asked her, she did not have a report.
Okay,
No, just, she was gonna touch base on the Black Otter as well.
okay.
So everything that I told you, she was gonna tell you, so it should be up to date. I shouldn't say that. We're also working on signage for our through streets as well.
Mhm.
So we wanna make sure that all of the areas that we discussed with that new ordinance change are gonna be up to speed with signage and viewable signage, so there's no complaints if a citation is issued. Okay?
And E is library director.
Just a couple things. In April, we had 20 new card signups, which average we get about 15 to 20 per month. So this is higher than our usual, which is pretty good, rolling into summertime, which brings us to 4,657 card users total. People registered for Hortonville as their primary library, which is pretty exciting. More businesses have begun supplying summer prizes with us. Monkey Joe's in Appleton has graciously offered free jump passes as well as other promotional prizes. And Ben Shot here in Hortonville is going to be supplying a couple items. So we have about 8 baskets confirmed, which is already about half of what we got last year. So considering that they have until June 1st to even say whether they're going to donate, out of 32 letters, we already have 8. So we're on a pretty good roll so far. It's already beginning of May. So that's all I've got.
Any questions for the library director?
Did you want to mention the book sale?
We have a book sale coming up. So the Friends of the Library book sale is next week. We're doing setup on Thursday the 9th. And then the book sale will be running from 10 to 6 on Friday the 10th. And 8 to 3 on Saturday the 11th. And Saturday is also the village-wide rummage sale, so we get a lot of good foot traffic from that. So we usually try to overlap that. We'll be having a bag sale, everything you can fit in a bag for $5 for portions of Saturday, as well as an at-will donation bake sale, which is always a pretty big hit. So we're looking to raise some funds for the Friends of the Library, and that's coming up next week, and I'm so excited to finally have this book sale.
To have your office
Get
back.
your storage.
Yeah, my office.
Yeah.
It's currently a walking path from my door to my desk, so it'll be good to have some space back.
So you have over 4,000 cards issued?
4,657.
How many of that is outside of Portonville?
Or
Or do you not get any information?
I do, yep, I do get the statistical reports every month. In Hortonville, it's about 1,500, 1,600 Hortonville residents. But because in our system, we have to assign municipalities that could also be including Ellington, Dale, Center, things like that. So it gets very minute because that's what county funding is based off of. The local municipalities that don't have a library then contribute to the municipalities that do. and
So
then
you
county
track all the
funding.
usage?
Mhm,
When
we
people check, whenever somebody comes in from outside and Okay,
Yep,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, that's double our population.
yeah,
So
that's why it
that's
jumped out at me right away.
She gets monthly
Yeah.
reports are actually pretty interesting to look at,
Yeah.
because it
Mhm.
gives you a lot of the broader scale
Yeah.
of Tony.
And I can always print them off if anybody wants them.
Okay.
They're all online that I have access to, so we're doing really well. And it's really awesome to see that many community members supporting such an essential community service, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We will now move to F, attorney.
I have nothing to say.
Okay. And G is the building permit report, and there is none in the packet. So moving on to communications and miscellaneous business. A is Black Otter Lake District News. Is there anything? No. B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News.
They just proposed the next meeting date to be the same date that we're gonna do the interviews, which is the 7th.
Did they tell you the time?
6:30.
Okay.
But it's just a proposed date and time,
Can you
so
keep me in loop with that?
I'll see if I can
Okay.
get whisper in somebody up there.
Okay.
I gave your name and Jamie Mullock's name to Jack Kunke,
Mhm.
so that he knows that you are on the committee. So he'll probably be notifying you of meetings,
Okay.
okay? C is Gold Cross Ambulance Run-In Report News, and there's none in the packet. D is Hortonville Civic Association, and that would have been Peter, and he is out tonight. E, Senior Activities Committee.
We met last week. The meal site is going to be looking for a new manager. Rhonda's leaving the end of May, so that's a position Monday through Friday. The person works from 10 to 1. Fills in if they need meal delivery, takes the reservations, that kind of thing. So it sounds like, you know, it would be ideal Monday through Friday, but it's been a really tough position to fill. But if you know of anyone, have them let the ADRC through Outagamie County know. It's a vital program. We want to make sure we keep that going. They're delivering 19 meals a day. The meal site is actually down, not seeing a lot of people, but we're consistently working with it. There's some classes set up in conjunction with the library and the extension services that are going to be starting before or after the meal to kind of build the promoting that. We started to discuss our fall or our autumn fest, which is probably going to be on October 16th. We haven't set the date for sure. Looking for a speaker for that. Continuing to work on issues, transportation, marketing. I'm going to be working with Nathan on doing a little more marketing and working on the calendar. And I think that's it.
Any questions for Pat? We will now go to 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present, and there are none. And 13 would be adjournment.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.